roughly what we're trying to get at. They may or may not like it, but at least they have access to it. They don't have to read the encyclopedia of smart growth. They know what they're getting at right away. If they like it or not, it's a different story. We've actually had a lot of support. I'm going to offer Bob this whole entire presentation. He can offer it to you. I'm not going to run over all the details of the plan, because I think I've been in front of either the planning board or the county planning directors several times. The plan includes a vision statement that really focuses on coordinated public and private investment. That investment means both in economic development and land protection, and a mission that really focuses on targeted job growth, supporting effective regional plans. That means supporting you, not telling you what to do, and also preserving and protecting the critical resources that you find value at locally, just like we find at the state level too. We do try to take a more positive spin on it, although these are complicated times, and we kind of at times have to force ourselves into a defensive mode, defending what this plan isn't. I think I've communicated some of those things, but it's certainly not a substitute for your existing municipal planning and zoning. The level of detail that you need to regulate land uses at your local level cannot be found in this plan, nor is it our goal to have it in this plan. It's not going to solve all of our problems. It's certainly not an unfunded mandate, because many of the things that were really expensive to local government, like plan endorsement, we're arguing that we shouldn't do anymore. That was a multi-year process that cost several $100,000, and we're arguing that we should get rid of that. We beefed up the language in the final plan that we put out on the street in November that clarifies that the plan shouldn't be used for a basis or taking property for a public purpose without due compensation, as is guaranteed in the U.S. and state constitution. So, for those concerned about property rights, we've done a better job at clarifying exactly what we think this plan is and isn't, and we think the final plan that we propose for adoption will have whoever reads it in the future will be very clear about what it is not. 4 clear goals: targeted economic growth, effective regional planning, preservation, protection, and enhancement of critical state resources, including agricultural resources. And in areas of the state that have agriculture and cultural resources, an important part of your county still, economic growth also means tourism, agriculture, cultural resources, and recreation, because we know that in many parts of the state, that is the kind of the heartbeat of your economic development. So we think that we not only need to focus on corporate jobs and high-paying jobs and middle-paying jobs, but also all those jobs that may be dispersed over a regional economy that looks very rural. And that's the plan, rural by design. And there's counties like this and many counties that I've worked with in North, Central, and South Jersey that have agriculture and historic preservation and tourism, a core component of their economic development strategy. And this clearly is part of our strategy as well. The 4th goal, we've been told that if we actually get anywhere close to meeting this goal, we'll have a lot of friends. That's the alignment of state government first, and then once we get our act together, aligning with local government through this scorecard system. So we presented this plan in November, and along came Sandy. This is Seaside Park. This is Malibu in Ocean County. And clearly, the issues facing the state are big. And this is not just a short issue. This storm impacted the entire state. Some regions are more impacted than others. But because of the storm, we've had a delayed final adoption due to the immediate emergency at the time, and also some of the unknown and emerging policy issues resulting from Sandy. I think it definitely identified a major weakness in our plan, and that's the lack of stated policy objectives related to coordinated hazard mitigation and traditional planning activities. I think Somerset County is probably one of the few counties that even has this as that concept. It wasn't in our plan before. We recommended some of the improvements to the plan to link together the work at the county level that's done with hazard mitigation, land protection, and economic development planning, to make sure that at the state level we're making those connections too, because it's really working with the same FEMA system regardless. And so we anticipate some surgical revisions. By surgical, I mean very careful, precise precision revisions that position ourselves better to respond to future storms statewide, future hazards statewide, whether that's a storm or a forest fire. We also know that in certain areas of the state, the forest issues that we see that result in lots of trees down and power outages are really the kind of the big issue. So we don't think think the state plan should turn into a coastal revitalization strategy. We think there needs to be a coastal revitalization strategy. We think the state plan can set the stage for that. We don't want to get too bogged down into the details of our plan. So we hope to work with the policy office of the governor and the recovery team to get the mix right and hopefully be able to bring a plan for final adoption quite soon. Some of our next immediate steps concurrent with the adoption, we're meeting with the steering committee already of state government and developing agency implementation plan. We'll talk very quickly about that. We are starting to think about ideas about how to put the priority investment area system into our rules, so we can as soon as possible embrace the local objectives set by Somerset County, and then have other state agencies through our steering committee embrace your local goals as their goals. Certainly we need to collaborate with DEP on sewer service area, WQMP issues, and some areas of the state, the CAFRA issues are really big too. The connection with the state plan is required by statute, so we have to figure that part out. We've got some active municipal endorsement petitions. We actually have one Millstone Borough tomorrow at the State Planning Commission, so we'll congratulate them tomorrow. But we've also made a lot of progress through the immediate plan endorsement petitions that we brought through, especially Somerset Center's designation of 3 municipalities. We've got an interim center designation that took a while to get to, but I think Bob and Mike Kerwin would agree with the chairman that was time and money well spent, because it's kind of giving you guys kind of what you wanted out of the process. We were able to streamline the last parts of that process by offering some flexibility and taking off some unnecessary components of that, and we're going to get to the end on that too. Identifying pilot clusters. We plan on doing that in a way that listens to the SEDS work that's done in places like Somerset County. So the SEDS work we think can really be kind of some of the framework document that we could use to identify where the industry clusters are in the state that are alluded to under the second goal of the state plan. And we're going to try to do better, and we certainly are spread pretty thin, but we're invited and unfortunately we're not always able to attend the SEDS meetings, but we're going to try to do a better job in the coming years now that the state plan, the heavy lifting is kind of done. We're going to try to do a better job to understand what we need to do with state government to help you implement your SEDS. And we're also very involved in the Together North Jersey program too. So we have this criteria-based system. This is just some of the background on how it's going to work and why we think it's possible under this current statute we can do it this way. This criteria-based system for counties that have taken the leadership role that you have taken and innovated alongside of us, the goal is to basically just plug it right in and have those areas respected by state government. We think we can leverage your SEDS and with our cluster system and also the Together North Jersey work and potentially get all 13 counties within the North Jersey NPO region in with the system in the next year or so. This is our steering committee. So for the first time, we have all the major players in physical and economic development in the same room. What's worked out to be just about every month. These are folks that regulate land, they regulate activities of public infrastructure projects, and they also make strategic investments, whether they know it or not, in your future here in the county. So this is the group that's been put together to ensure that they develop their own plans consistent with the state plan. You'll have an opportunity to comment on those when it goes public to make sure it meets your needs. And then we also need to make sure that we task work groups that already exist and start to meet the goals that are set by the state. And we kind of think that this is how it works. So our favorite state department, everyone likes to talk about DEP. They're right now developing goals, strategies, and metrics to, and their work fits within the big kind of pie of state government with DCA, Department of Education, EDA, all under the kind of the very thin layer of the state plan. All these agencies are working in the same framework, and we think this is a way for us to coordinate. The drafts will go public. You'll have an opportunity to comment on them, and we think that if we do it right, we'll be able to fit it all together by the end of this year, which I think dovetails nicely with the work that you're doing and the stated goals you have for 2013. I think this work that you're doing here is very important, probably more important than the work that we're doing, because if we can't prove that it works on the ground, it's never going to work for the state. So we encourage you to stick with us. We're all kind of out there on a little bit of a ledge here with this work. It's exciting, and we really need to do it in a way that's transparent. I know that Bob and his team to get to the point where we're now, we've had, I don't even want to guess the number, think you do have a governor right now. I mean, I'm in charge of implementing it, but I'm not the guy. Nobody elected me. We really want to try to take this thinking, this framework, and build it within the bedrock of state government in a way that can kind of transition over time. So when there's another guy in charge, another gal in charge at the state level, these ideas, this thinking, this priority at the local level, this tie goes to the locals, this kind of mentality can kind of move forward and contribute to you having a better working relation with state government, whether it's our office or all the desperate state agencies sometimes working in competing interests. So that is fundamentally, again, I take it over and then I wanted to, so this information with the scorecard system and how it's going to be implemented. We haven't even really honestly started that detail. We will commit to you publicly that when we do, all the counties will be involved at the ground level, and before we go too far, it'll go public and there'll be opportunities to comment. So it'll be structured in a way that will allow all local governments to participate regardless of size of demographics. And we'll have very clear goals to assist you meet your goals instead of really assisting the state drive home a top-down strategy. So this is where you can find me. I bring our best from our office and our staff. Barry implementing it. Also, I want to thank he sticks with Bob and his staff on many of the kind of the issues day to day. Our executive director, Jerry Scharfenberger, we're nested within the Business Action Center. Our executive director, Mike Van Meigner, we report right up to the lieutenant governor. So if you don't like anything I'm saying, I welcome the conversation because we want to get it right. There's lots of details in the middle, and that's kind of part of the point. So we're going to work it out kind of case by case the best we can. And really look forward to working with your staff. And we thank the freeholders and the planning board for dedicating resources to really start innovating and getting this right. So without you, it would be impossible. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. I just want to say that working with you has been a pleasure. And for the first time in a very, very long time, I've been sitting in a chair up here for 20 years. But for the first time, I have some real hope that we're going to get something accomplished. And I feel like the work that we're doing here is being supported. So thank you very much. Okay. I think that, we got one thing left, and that's open it up to the public for comment for any item that is not on tonight's agenda. Hearing no public comment, we'll close the public session. Again, congratulations to the new members. Thank you all for your dedicated support. Bob, thank you and staff. What's that?